President Cyril Ramaphosa currently hosting his Austrian counterpart in Alexander van der Bellen, and is now speaking as part of the public aspect of their engagements. Let's listen in.
Was played by Austria during the anti-apartheid struggle in supporting our struggle for democracy. We have not forgotten this solidarity, which in many ways laid what I would call a firm basis for our bilateral relationship. Your visit today to South Africa marks a new chapter in relations between South Africa and Austria. Through the bilateral consultations, we have maintained cordial relations rooted in mutual respect, rooted in shared values, and a common commitment to the principle of multilateralism. We are also committed to deepening investment and trade between our two countries. And I'm rather glad that we will be having a business forum later today. You have brought with you a number of business people and leaders from Austria, which we truly appreciate. And we hope that they are currently interacting with their South African counterparts. And this behoves extremely well for strengthening the relations between our two countries, not only at a political and diplomatic level, but also at a trade and investment and economic level. South Africa is Austria's largest economic and trade partner in Africa. Our country accounts for almost a third of Austria's total exports to the African continent. There are more than 70 Austrian companies with subsidiaries or agencies in South Africa across a range of sectors of our economy. There is significant potential to deepen investment and trade links in a number of areas, particularly in areas such as the green economy, energy, manufacturing, infrastructure development, as well as tourism. We have a common commitment to transition our respective economies along a low-carbon, inclusive, climate-resilient growth path. As South Africa strives to achieve energy security through investment in renewable and clean energy, we look forward to expanding our cooperation with Austria. We noted with interest the launch of Austria's first green hydrogen production facility in 2023. We are eager to share our green hydrogen economy strategy so that we can explore avenues for cooperation between the two countries in the clean energy and green hydrogen technology. We are interested to hear more about Austria's comprehensive National Africa Strategy, which we understand is intended to expand the cooperation between countries on the continent together with Austria. So the momentum for South Africa's structural reform process and our efforts to boost economic growth does present a very unique opportunity for Austrian firms, which we will talk about later at the Business Forum. We meet at a time of heightened global insecurity, a global insecurity which is exacerbated by the geopolitical tensions, the climate emergency, and conflicts in many parts of the world. These events reinforce the need for strengthening the multilateral system, which we see under attack And it is countries such as Austria and South Africa who firmly believe in a multilateral system who can defend it. And many events that are taking place further underscore the need for urgent reform of the institutions that support and embolden the multilateral system through good global governance. And we would like to see the reforms also happening at the United Nations level, particularly with the Security Council. South Africa and Austria have a shared commitment to a world free of conflict and war, where sustainable development becomes a reality for all. For our G20 presidency, South Africa has chosen a theme that underpins our overall national objectives, which is solidarity, equality, and sustainability. It reflects our commitment to advancing the African agenda, multilateral cooperation, and interests of all countries and all peoples around the world. As Austria is valued to South Africa as a partner, and we look forward to talking together to take this partnership to even a greater level. So your visit here, President, is a real boon for us as South Africa, in that it will give us a really good opportunity to boost our relations and to put them on a much higher level. I now invite you, Your Excellency, to deliver your own remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very grateful for the kind invitation to visit South Africa, in particular since we had to postpone this visit twice because of the pandemic of the time, first here in South Africa, and then after the next time the pandemic was really harsh in Austria. This is the first visit of an Austrian president to this wonderful country. I'm surprised of that personally, and I look forward very much to many fruitful meetings here in the country, as well as to be able to admire the beauty of the country, at least in 4 days, which is much too short for a visit like this. South Africa has come a long way, overcoming the dark times of apartheid, but that was certainly a difficult journey. But I can only applaud your country for your non-violent, inclusive transition to democracy and a true rainbow nation, as it is called. I think a beautiful name, personally, which today is a role model for peace and stability everywhere. Austria and South Africa enjoy long-standing, very cordial relations, especially in business. We are close partners in many ways, but not only in commercial matters, but also in science, in culture. For instance, representatives of medical universities are with us this time, and I often realize that it is short-sighted only to think about commercial matters, important as they are. But for instance, when I was recently in Japan, I realized that in particular Vienna and Salzburg are world centers of music for the Japanese people, and this again opens doors also in business matters. This was very interesting. They helped us, for instance. I mean, Austria is a, how should I put it, a well-advanced capitalist country, but still we are very grateful to Japanese enterprises when they subsidize visits of the Philharmonic Orchestra in Japan. So it goes both ways. And I mentioned that also because yesterday we had meetings with young people, very young people, but also young people. The youngest maybe, I don't know, 10, and the oldest 25, making music.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was extremely interesting. And also in this field, we should cooperate more closely, inviting them to Vienna and so on. We will see how it works out. They have also already been there, in Vienna. The Viennese are, in general, people who like music of every kind, right? Not only Mozart. So you mentioned already, Mr. President, that South Africa is our most important partner in Africa as a whole. We have the biggest, the share of import and export to South Africa is the largest of all African countries. That's a consequence of the high development of your country. Yesterday, we visited, that was also interesting for me because it was new. We visited Alpla. Alpla, a family firm that is not registered on the stock exchange in Austria, so it is not well known even in Austria, but it turns out that they are a world leader in several prospects of wie sagt man das auf Englisch? Packaging and recycling, or plastic recycling. Yeah, which is not only interesting for South Africa, it's interesting for us, of course, in exactly the same way. And it's not surprising that this Austrian firm is represented, I think, in about 60 countries of the world. So even in areas where even I, as a previous economist, I'm not familiar with all the important firms that Austria really has where Austria can offer something. So we will learn more about your country. We will have the business roundtable in the evening. In the meantime, we do not forget that science and culture are as important as for Austria, as important as economic cooperation, and sometimes they can strengthen each other in the bilateral relations. I'm sure I've forgotten many important things. May I ask our Vice Minister to continue on some important aspects of the relations between South Africa and Austria? Mr. Marschik is the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Foreign Relations of Austria.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Excellencies. I can briefly report to you about the outcome of the fourth round of consultations that we held in Vienna in May with Deputy Foreign Minister Alvin. It was a pleasure hosting you, Alvin, in Vienna. And we focused on three main topics. First of all, on bilateral relations, then on neighborhood issues, and thirdly, on international issues. On the bilateral issues, we spoke about and exchanged about the respective communities in our countries, about economy, energy issues, trade, tourism, as well as cooperation in the field of arts, culture, and science. And these talks resulted in two concrete MOUs, memoranda, that we're able to sign today. One on vocational training and one on consular cooperation. So these talks had concrete results that we can finalize today. Secondly, on the respective neighborhoods, we informed on the situation in Europe, and in particular on the situation when it comes to the Russian invasion in Ukraine. And the South African colleagues informed on developments in the Southern African Development Community, SADC, on DRC Rwanda, on the situation, humanitarian situation in Sudan, as well as in the Western Sahel, the political situation. And we also asked and requested As President, you know, we still have an Austrian lady that is kidnapped in Niger. We were informed about this and also asked and requested support if possible. And lastly, on the international topics, we underlined that there are many international topics where we share same interests: international rules-based order, rule of law, human rights, disarmament. We spoke about international platforms that are important to our respective countries. You are presiding G20, BRICS, and Austria is currently running for a candidacy for the UN Security Council. And we would really be happy for South Africa's support in this. And we are able, if you are able to support us, we would be happy to support 3 of your candidacies in international fora. And finally, we exchanged information on complex international issues, Middle East, the United States, and trade and tariffs and US aid, and finally also on China. That was the topics of the 4th round of consultations. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Mr. President, you would have seen that the attention span of people in the media becomes curtailed after you and I have spoken. So they want to go and rest.
You've been listening to the exchange between President Cyril Ramaphosa and the Austrian delegation that's currently meeting with the president and his executive at the union buildings. The idea here is to strengthen bilateral trade and ties, generally speaking, between both countries.